to tell you the story of me. Okay? The truth, nothing but the truth. So if you've got a seatbelt, put it on. You're going to need it. I come from a large family upstate New York. And had many, many experiences as a child. Some not pleasant, and some very pleasant. I had really wonderful parents, but they didn't know they were wonderful. And when you don't know how wonderful you are, you don't know how to be wonderful. Okay. They can only do what they knew. And what they knew was hard, tough, honest, and real. They were hard drinkers, hard partiers, had a lot of kids. They knew how to live hard, fast, love hard, argue, fight, do it. A lot happens in upstate New York. I have to tell you, or I don't have to tell you, I want to tell you, I had very interesting experience as a child. I did go through child sexual abuse, went through physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and probably the most profound, but spiritual abuse, because I was raised Catholic. I'm recovering Catholic. The application said, what's your religion? Mine is not. Spirituality, huge. How I got there? Through many years of drinking and drugging. I'm a recovering alcoholic of 23 years now. But for many years, for about 30 years, starting at the age of 11, I drank and then eventually got into drugs and then continued to drink. Very hard drinker. But what we call in recovery, I was a high functional drunk. So I had always had a great job, made good money, raised 2 children, pregnant at 16, got married. I had a boy and girl. And for several years, I just worked at having minimum wage paying jobs because that's all girls could get that didn't have an education. So the only education I really had was to work hard, keep a clean house, be a good cook, and take care of the family because both my mother and father worked and I took care of the younger children. Not a sad story. I've had a wonderful life. In fact, I know few people that I'm aware of that are any more blessed than I am. Okay? Had my 2 children, married at 16, divorced at 21. Neighbor lady kissed me, found out I was a lesbian. Oh my God, what do I do with this? 2 kids and a husband? Didn't really quite know what to do with that, but I was fortunate in a way because my husband was a little bit abusive, and I was very fortunate that he beat me up, so that gave me grounds to leave him. Okay. So leaving him after being beat up, and here it's like, oh my God, now what? Here I am, lesbian. I had no idea. 2 little kids, what am I going to do? This is in 1972, so I had the choice to stay in the closet, because I lived in Pulaski, New York, or to come out. And I said, you know what? My parents taught me to be honest as I could. So I thought I refused to live a double life. So I didn't. I came out at that point in time in 1972, which was difficult. That really escalated my drinking because of my confusion. What do I do? I didn't know of anybody person that was like me. I had to come to the big city of Syracuse if I was going to find anybody. And so it could be a very lonely life. So I drank hard. I did what they called black beauties at that point in time, which was a form of street speed that kept you going so you could work a lot of hours. Well, I drank myself right into, even though I kept a spotless home, and I worked and took care of my children, drank primarily when they weren't around or at night when I was working, I became very ill. I literally was working myself to death. I worked in an ice cream factory here, loading tractor trailers. First union job I ever got that they refused me to get because I was a woman, and I wouldn't let them out of it until they gave it to me. But I hadn't. He told me, you will work twice as hard as the men or I will fire you. And I did. I worked so hard that I literally strained my body so much that I ended up in the hospital. I was about 80 pounds. I developed an acute ulcerative colitis, and that is where they remove the majority of your intestines, and they very kindly place a plastic bag on your abdomen, and that's where you go to the bathroom for the rest of your life. You stop being a normal human being. Not that I was normal as it was, because here I am, an alcoholic, a drug addict, a mother of 2, a lesbian. Now, voila! I had this. Give up, wanted to commit suicide. Doctor talked me out of it. Had the surgery, went back to work, couldn't do that job. They put me into college. Never been to college in my life. Here I am thinking, oh gosh, 40 years old, 1980, and I'm in Oswego State, becoming a student. Wonderful, loved it, but busy drinking and drugging and couldn't get my act together, okay. But I was working full time. But by this time now, I had a son that was 13 and a daughter who was 11, and I didn't know she was into drugs and alcohol. Well, after being a student for about a year, I left Oswego State, came back to Syracuse, worked full time, got a wonderful job here at Niagara Mohawk. Continued to raise my children, not again realizing my daughter was in drugs and alcohol. Her drug and alcohol developed. And eventually, I got into recovery when I was about 45, about 1989. Started my recovery. I was in recovery for about 4 years and got a phone call from my daughter one night, crying her eyes out, Mom, 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 Tim hit me. Why did Tim hit me? She said, sweetheart, that was her fiance. They were very much in love. Honey, I don't know why he hit you, but I do know that you kids have been drinking, haven't you? Yes. Have I been doing a little extra stuff? Yes. Okay, well, we get that way when we get to arguing. I mean, isn't it funny how the people we love the most, when we're under the influence, we get scared, we get jealous, we hurt each other. So I asked her, I said, sweetheart, would you please get yourself out of there and get yourself in a safe place? After about talking to her for about 10 minutes, I could hear something click in her mind. I couldn't hear it, but I could hear it intuitively as a mom. And I said, sweetheart, will you promise you'll get yourself in a safe place? And she says, yes, Mom, I will. The phone got silent for a minute. She came back. She says, Mom, do you love me? I said, oh, sweetheart, I love you. She said, am I a good person? Oh, babe, you're the best. And I reminded her of the things she did. And I said, no, please, whatever you do, get yourself in a safe place. Mom, I will. I hung up. But I knew something inside wasn't right. I didn't know what it was intellectually, because I couldn't tag it. But I'd had enough recovery under my belt to say, oh, boy, God, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But please let me go to sleep here so I can deal with what I have to deal with. Well, I got that knock at the door at 4 o'clock in the morning. But a parent never wants to get it. And on the opposite side of my door was 3 police officers and a chaplain. And my daughter got herself in the safest place she possibly could. She shot and killed herself. So that led into, when I say my life has been, it's been wonderfully painful, extremely different, but you know, it's led me into a new way of living. And that's why I say I'm recovering Catholic, but in that, most people, I guess a lot of people lose their faith or whatever. Mine got stronger, got more powerful. I become much closer to what I can't see, hear, and understand. You know, and understand that I have had a very blessed life and continue to live a very blessed life at 63 today. So, back here living, I have 5 grandchildren from my son. Thank you very much. And I'm so happy to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much.